I want to thank all of you for coming this evening. Believe it or not, there's so many things happening that I'm really happy to see all of you here. And believe it or not, the library had something coming up that was here that started at 6. Someone told me that Pay It Forward had spaghetti dinner going on. Someone else said, well, the Maritime Museum had a think and drink program tonight on women. And, so that's just a few things that we're happening besides what we're doing. And my grandson also has a basketball game tonight. But, I'll get all the info from my son. Yeah. Now it is? All right, can you hear me all right? Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kathy Cole. I'm the acting president of the League of Women Voters of Manitowoc County, and I will be the moderator for this evening. Also with the league is our timekeeper, Julie Grindy, who will keep everyone on track. And Julie, raise your hand so everyone sees.
30 seconds is quite a bit of time for you to continue talking. And even if I put up a stop sign, please finish your sentence. I don't want to, cut you off on too much.
Okay. I also want to thank the Two Rivers City Manager, Greg Bugley, and his staff, and Lisa is here. I didn't realize that we would be able to do this on live stream, so I'm very happy that has occurred. So Lisa, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for our city clerk, Amanda Varenbrook, who gave me a lot of information so I could send it on to our candidates. I'm also very, very thankful for the Two Rivers Park and Recreation Department for coming to our rescue, because the FBI took over the other council room, and that's their headquarters for that missing child, which I hope that it goes successfully. But they said not a problem, and even there's something at the library that was here, and the library couldn't do it at their place because they're doing, there's a new program that they're going to start, and they're starting to set up this, it's on immigration, and we're one of 15 libraries to have this. So this is in our little town, Two Rivers. All this is happening. And again, our park came through and said, sure, you guys can have the Behringer room. So everybody was able to find parking spots, I hope, and get in there. All right. Well, now I want to tell you a little bit about League. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that does not endorse one party or one candidate over another. Our mission is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. League membership is open to all citizens, male and female, of voting age. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to turn off your phones. Restrooms are out in the hallway there. There's a fountain out there, drinking fountain, if you need to have a drink of water. Now, the format for tonight, each candidate will be given an opening statement of no more than 2 minutes and will respond to questions from the audience. Julie, who I just had you there, will show the candidates when they have 30 seconds remaining and when to stop. We ask all audience members who would like to ask a question of the candidates to come up to the microphone and ask a question of no more than 30 seconds. And then all candidates will be asked to respond to that question. I will rotate as to which candidate will go first on the question, so everyone gets an opportunity to answer a question first. All right? Now, the following candidates will have a 2-minute closing statement after all questions have been done. Our candidates tonight are Mark Bittner, Doug Brandt, Jeff Dahlke, who is our incumbent, Shannon Derby, and Andrew Quackenbush. Let's begin with the opening statements of candidates. You have 2 minutes, and Mark, you are to begin.
Great.
Okay, now that mic for your information, does not like to be glass.
Okay.
So you have to, if you're gonna keep it on.
On now?
Nope. With the green button, then it'll be on.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you. My name, does it work now?
Yeah,
Better.
you don't have to hold it too close.
All right, I won't hold it close. Thank you. My name's Mark Bittner, and first I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this event, and I want to thank everyone who came tonight, spend the time, and everyone watching this live, because it's important to get to know the candidates. We have a lot of qualified people up here, and it's an important position for our community's future. My name is Mark Bittner. I live at 3311 Monroe Street. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Betty Bittner. We have 3 kids and 5 grandkids. Both Betty and I are very active in the community. We're active in the church, and we've done a lot of things for Two Rivers. It's a great place to live, and I look forward to continuing living in a fine community like this. My background is in sales and marketing. I was executive vice president of some very large publicly held companies. You may recognize Miro, Rival, Crock-Pots, and Beauty Hair Care. This gave me an awful lot of experience in sales, marketing, and how to run a profitable business, responsible for the management of hundreds of people in the organization, and it taught me a lot about business. I went on, I was a consultant for a international business I ran. I worked with a number of countries, Indonesia and China, and then I ended up my career as a business owner where I directly imported products for the glass container industry, had a warehouse in operation in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Now I'm fully retired. Betty and I love Two Rivers, live here, and spend time in our cabin up north and occasionally in Manitowoc. I previously was on city council. I accomplished a number of objectives I'm very proud of. I was responsible for the Canoe Kayak Trail, responsible for the development of the South Pier, the walkway, the bike path. I helped create the strategies for the city. I helped write the code of conduct, and I participated in a number of other things, including I got what I used to joke about Secret Park. We finally got it named as Harbor View Park. Okay. Thank you. I see my time's up.
Yes, Doug?
Good evening, my name is Doug Brandt. I'm originally from Appleton, Wisconsin, and I moved here in 2007. Married my wife Wendy Kozlowski. Together we have 6 children and 6 grandchildren, and we just love Two Rivers. We look to help grow the future of Two Rivers. My background, I am an engineering consultant in the environmental field. I work remotely for a company in Detroit. This is my 36th year of in that career, and it really fosters the skills of team building and problem solving and budget management. So I think all of those skills can directly be applied to the city council and the operation of the city. And that's about all I got. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jeff Dolke, and I live at 3727 Adams Street. I was born and raised in Denmark, Wisconsin, that is, not the country. You can get that once in a while. I moved here in 2017 with my wife, and in 2020 moved my grandchildren here with my daughter. We bought a house for them in town here, and I believe that was in 2020. My background is I was worked construction my whole life. I worked for Bitten Construction for 16 years, I believe, and then I traveled throughout the country honing my skills, and eventually I worked for a manufacturer who sold and produced all the concrete paving equipment. So I traveled abroad, and I think I worked in like 17 different countries. So I kind of get the gist of what's going on out and about in the world. And like I said, I moved my family here because it's a nice community, and I appreciate the beauty of this city. I appreciate it when people come up and talk to me. It's a friendly town. People get upset when you say town, but it's small town America. And yeah, it's just a very, very nice place to live. There's nothing about this city that I do not like. I'm incumbent. I ran in 3 years ago, so I'm up for re-election. In that time, the last 2 years, I was on a personnel finance committee, so I was helping out with the budget. Unfortunately, end of this year, we had to have a 2% increase, but that came from previous 10 years of spending. I hope to do the same thing, and I keep my checks and balances with everybody. And again, I really thank everybody for being here. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. I'm Shannon Derby. I'm obviously running for city council of Two Rivers. And I moved here about 15 years ago and fell in love with this town. I saw how it grew and is continuing to grow, and I would like to be a part of that change. A little bit about my background is I'm a single mom of 3. They are all adults now. My youngest just turned 18 in February. She graduates this June. I'm here with my partner Megan. I forgot to introduce her at one of the other forums, so sorry. I got it this time though. And I have my bachelor's degree in leadership. From UWGB. I was also a sign language interpreter for the school district here in Two Rivers for 15 years. And I worked in Manitowoc for 2 years. Now I work at Eggers in Two Rivers, VT Eggers it's called. And I have really found my home there. I really enjoy the work. We make architectural doors, such as the ones in the back. It's a divided light style and rail door. In case you were all wondering. So, but through Eggers, we have the Carpenters Union, and they have really provided me with a lot of opportunities to grow my strengths in public speaking, leadership. I went to work boots to wingtips political boot camp to learn how to run for city council and other elected positions. So those have all been very valuable. I was just at the legislative conference down in Madison where we got to meet with the state legislators. And I'm just looking forward to being part of the change here in Two Rivers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew Quackenbush. I've been living in Two Rivers for 6 years now. I live at 3204 School Street. My wife, my daughter, my son, and my niece that we have custody of. I'm originally from Copper Harbor, Michigan, a small town way up north in the UP. I'm hoping to bring some of the ideas. We solely live on tourism up there, and I see that's kind of where the city is headed. I would like to bring some of that down here and how they run, because they don't have any industry or close town industry like we have with Manitowoc. I work at Cary Red Arrow in Manitowoc. I've been there for 6 years. I'm a production supervisor. They sent me through a leadership course called Servant Leadership, which I'm a big proponent of. I'm hoping that I can use that to communicate with the constituents and let their voices be heard, because the biggest resource you have is the people. My parents are small business owners. I'm not a business expert by any means, but I have a little bit of knowledge in that area. I'm hoping to learn more through my time if I get elected to city council. That's about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're gonna start with our questioning. You may come up to the mic, ask the first question. Don't be shy, I figured you're here for something. Okay, well, I'll start. What do you consider the most important issues facing Two Rivers right now? And we're gonna start with Doug. You're
Okay.
first.
I think the most important issue facing Two Rivers right now is, I hear a lot of rumblings, Facebook, whatever, about switching from a city manager type of government to a mayoral system. And I think we are really fortunate to have a city manager type of government right now. And the benefits to that, you hire a very educated person who has the skills to manage the city, whereas a mayoral, it's a popularity contest. There's no continuity. Every 4 years, you may have a new guy. I've been in my career for 36 years, had the same clients for that same time. There's a lot of value in continuity and knowing the history and knowing why this was done and that was done. So I would seek to preserve the city manager type of government for Two Rivers. That's my main focus.
Okay, yes,
Hi, one of the biggest hot topic that I get talked to about quite a bit is the Airbnbs in town and the overabundance of them and how we can possibly try and control them and do a little more limiting on them. I do understand that there's a substantial amount of room tax money that goes into them, but on the other hand, it's taking away an awful lot of housing. If we get some of them housing back, we would probably not need to be building as many apartment complexes. So I just think that's one of the things that I would be really kind of pushing for, is to put some control on the Airbnbs and try to limit the number of them that we have. We have more than enough now. I believe I had, the last estimate I had heard it was like 90, so that's an awful lot of houses that are not on the market. So that would probably be the biggest thing that I would focus on in the next 3 years.
All right, I have also heard a lot of grumblings about the, getting rid of the city manager position and going to a mayoral candidate system. And I agree with Doug that when you have a city manager, you have somebody that is there, that is knowledgeable, that went to college for this job, and it's not just a popularity contest that can be revolved around every 4 years. I've also heard about the Airbnbs, and that's a big concern for me as well. But I would really like to focus on green areas, parks, making sure that there's room for everybody and it's accessible to everybody so that everybody can enjoy this wonderful town of Two Rivers.
Through my door knocking, a lot of people have told me that our population is an issue, which is piggybacked on the housing, which is industry. So what I would like to focus on is really getting to the core of what we can do to bring our population back up, whether it's more housing, subdivisions. I know the city council already has plans for an apartment. Trying to just find the key pieces of that we can work on as a community and hopefully get younger people to stay here or move here. Thank you.
okay, I'll take that. Pass it on to Mark.
Two Rivers has really got an excellent position for a city right now. There's a lot of positive things going, a lot of things that could be further developed. There's several apartment complexes in the works that will bring in excess of 1 unit 70 on the East Twin River, market value homes that will be assessed at over $15 million. And that will bring a generous increase in taxable income, which will help reduce our tax costs of some of our fixed burdens we have right now, water and utilities. So those are good things. The market rate property on the other river is going to provide both market rate housing, about 1/3, 2/3 public housing for lower income activity, but that still will benefit the community with over $300,000 in tax base and provide homes and places to live. I think the biggest challenge is we need more residential opportunities for people to move in. The Phase 3 development is a great opportunity. There's 15, 16 sites there. There's a property the city owns on the west side of the city. Could be, talked to Buckley when I previously on council, we should promote it as a housing development property. So housing is opportunities. With housing, we'll bring more businesses and jobs. That's what we need, jobs that will benefit the community or younger generation so they don't have to leave and develop their lives and their career. But what we want to do is we want to keep the quality, the historical value, all the things that's made Two Rivers unique. The reason we have so many B&Bs, and by the way, the number is 57, and which generates over, our room tax now is $230,000, 1/3 of that as a result of Airbnb numbers. The people want to come to Two Rivers, there's things to do. It's a beautiful city. Whatever we do in changing the development future, we want to keep the pure and natural Two Rivers historical development that's been in place for so many years. So I'm going to stop.
Okay, you can pass it on to Jeff. All right, please, get up there.
Hi, I'm Connie Hendries, and for the last, I would say 5 decades, I've been a member of the League of Women Voters. And the mission of the League of Women Voters is to educate all voters, regardless of party or whatever their positions are, just to give them information, encourage people to vote while maintaining a definitely nonpartisan stance. And I'm wondering what your positions are of retaining that nonpartisanship in the city council and in the school board, because local boards have usually, in fact, have always been nonpartisan, and I'm wondering what your position is on that.
It would be nice to keep everything nonpartisan, but as divided as the country and the communities have gotten in the last 15 years, I don't know that it's gonna be able to stay that way much longer. I mean, you can say that it's nonpartisan, but at the end of the day, somebody's always backing somebody, then that's the unfortunate reality of what's going on. Would I like to keep it nonpartisan? Absolutely. I'm pretty much a centrist myself, so it's hard though. It is very, very hard when you have one group pulling you one way, one group pulling you another. I would really like to keep it nonpartisan, if possible, but like I said, I just don't see that happening. It's starting to shift, and it's shifting, you see it everywhere. Thank you.
My plan for keeping it nonpartisan is to listen to both sides of everybody's issues, listen to it, understand both sides, so that I can make a conscious decision, a decision that's going to benefit Two Rivers. I chose neutral colors for my signage because I didn't want to be affiliated or accidentally affiliated with any colors or any kind of party, because I do believe that city boards, school boards especially, should not be partisan. They should be very neutral and looking for the best interest of why that board was created. For city council, it's the best interest of Two Rivers, and that's what I look forward to doing.
Yeah, so a lot of people, we are vitriolic against the other parties lately, but I'm hoping with city council, you don't have your party on your shirt or your association, but you have people who have the same goal, and that is to make our city as best as it can be. And our job is to be listening to our constituents and taking their concerns and voting in their best interests, not in a party's interests. So I'm hoping that, with feedback from, the general population, I can take their considerations into effect, and all the noise that comes with political partying can be put in the background.
Right, the city council and school board are both at large, and I don't think that Republican versus Democrat has any place in either fixture. I mean, we're here for the good of the city and what's good for its development, not for national politics or, stances. I think we as a council need to do what's right for the future of the city, for our children, grandchildren, etc. And I would definitely follow that thought as a councilman. Thank you.
Attention citizens of Two Rivers, I am a nonpartisan candidate. I'm not funded by a party. I'm funded by myself, my own interests, and I think of what's best for the citizens of Two Rivers. I don't care if you're Baptist, Lutheran, or Catholic, or you're a Republican, Democrat. What's best for the community? What's best to help the community maintain, and the community will grow in the future. So I very strongly believe in a nonpartisan city council, because not a political position, period.
Next question, please. Come up to the mic.
Hi, my name's Shelley.
I'm just wondering, we had a good conversation about housing in here, and I'm just wondering, what are your positions on, in light of the fact that there are so many corporations coming up from the Chicago area, property managers in our area here are buying up all these houses and refurbishing them and then jacking up the prices so high for rent that people can't afford it. So I'm just wondering what your positions are on affordable housing in Two Rivers.
Janet?
We did have a good discussion about this topic, when we were at Kurtz's for the Democratic meeting. We're not partisan, it was a Democratic forum, thank you. We did have a very good and open discussion about all of this. I wanna make sure that Two Rivers does stay an affordable place to live. I am a single mom. Affordability is my middle name. I really think that the apartments going up where Eggers used to be, that Eggers East, I believe, the East Plant, I think, no, it's West, sorry. I think that's a really good thing. I think that everybody should be able to afford a home, they should have a livable wage. I really believe in those things, especially for a small town like this where everybody can afford to live is a dream. And with people coming up and flipping houses, it's not what we want in our city. It looks good, it looks nice, but the reality is we still live in Two Rivers and we have limited access to bigger paying jobs and other funding, so, because we're not a huge city. So I think that we need to make sure that our town stays an affordable place to live for everyone.
This is a very good question, and I do not have a good answer for you. It's a free market. It's hard to control what private parties are allowed to do with their property, whether it be sell it to an investment or an individual. As a city council, the apartments is a good start. We have the subdivision just on the way out to Sandy Bay, Port Sandy Bay, sorry. But yeah, I don't have a really good answer for this. Maybe we could look to see if other small communities that were high priority, like Dutch County, they had a flood of people coming in from Illinois buying up cabins and camps. I know a couple of people that I work with who had strangers walk onto the land and offer them cash, and they weren't even listing their property. So maybe we could be in contact with other small communities and see what they did to try to combat it.
Housing is extremely important for a city. As I mentioned earlier, we have the public housing project on one of our rivers. We have the big condominium complex on the other river, so there's opportunities there. They run into some obstacles from the state government environmentally, and we have to help them overcome those obstacles so they can be developed. The opportunity for the Sandy Bay Highlands third part will bring another 15 houses, but I think we need to look beyond that too and dig deeper in other places that we can assist development. Homes are going nuts. In 2005, the average median home in Mantle County was $90-some thousand. Now it's up to, I believe, $270,000. So houses are just going out of control. And as Andrew said, even as an elected official of the city council, you can't control the market decisions that we can't control. We'd like to, but you can't control rent prices or the Airbnb dilemma, which has developed some positives for a lot of additional tax dollars for the community. But we just have to work smart to try to find places for people to live, and that will bring additional businesses and new people to our communities.
Yeah, I think that there needs to be some sort of control over Airbnbs, whether it be a limit, a lottery, requirement that it must be owner occupied for a certain amount of time per calendar year. As far as remote landlords, there's really not a lot you can do to limit the, because it's private property and, you know, we can't enforce them not to be able to buy property. And it is theirs to do with what they see fit. But as far as short-term rentals, I think we could do some things, and that could possibly help keep, you know, when you go to buy a house, you always hear about comparables. So if we can limit the amount of high-priced homes that get turned over in the city, you know, that might help in that respect, that, you know, the comparables aren't quite there. So I would do what I could to help that situation. Thanks.
Could you repeat that question, because it seems like it got skewed up here a little bit.
Yeah, my main point was, what are your thoughts on affordable housing?
Okay, I just had a conversation with a woman today, and talking about rent, and she said, yeah, somebody was gonna have an apartment coming up for $800. Is that affordable? I didn't know that $800 was affordable now, but apparently that's what pretty much going rate is for a cheap apartment. And that's kind of sad. I don't know how we can really control that, but the affordable housing that's going up across the river, I'm okay with it. But my problem with that whole project was, I don't believe the city should be funding it. That would be like me coming up to you and saying, you know what, I'm gonna do an investment, but just give me $20 so I can do it. I just don't think that's right. It is their investment, not our investment. Granted, we do need the housing, but it is their risk, it's not our risk. But I don't understand why, as council, we figured that it was okay to do that. I voted no on both of those projects, not for the project, but for the principle that the city was gonna be funding some of it. And in my opinion, that's wrong. But as far as how we can control it, I just don't know that we can. It's free market. The best we can do is kind of limit Airbnbs, and that's just for housing. When it comes to apartments, it's free market. That's all I can say.
Pass that to Andrew.
Can I? In the interest of disclosure here, I'm a property manager for an apartment building in
You're
town.
gonna have to get closer, I don't think they can pick it up.
I'm a property manager for an apartment.
Who would like your name?
My name is Kay Coach. And my rents are very manageable. I'm getting $800 for a 2-bedroom. I'm getting $975 for a 3-bedroom. I'm also on the planning commission. So I'm here to tell you right now that the guy going up on the East Twin is talking about 74 apartments. These are not low income, they are just apartments. His idea of marketing is $1,200 for a 2-bedroom apartment and up to $14 for a 3. The guy in the West Twin is the same thing. He is reasonable housing, but open to taking in low income. I don't know how that would be, because if I was in this apartment paying $1,200 a month, and a low income guy is next door to me in the same brand new apartment for $400, I would not be a happy camper.
Okay, so what's your question?
There's no question. I just wanted to say this.
Yeah.
Hi, Darla LeClaire, I'm on city council presently. I'm always curious as to what the motivation is for somebody to run for a public office, because it's not really an easy road most of the time. So I'm curious as to what the motivation was, and if you're elected, what kind of value are you gonna add to council?
Thank you for that question. So I decided to run for city council. My family has always, my dad's a political science major. In Copper Harbor, he is on village boards. And we decided that since this is our home and this is gonna be our forever home, to get involved in public service of some sort. Since my experience has been in like a village council scenario, that is why I chose that. In Copper Harbor, we don't have all the clubs and the, volunteering for Rotary, and I honestly don't even know all the names to them. So I didn't even know where to start with all that. And I saw that there was spots available, and I figured maybe a new face from out of the area would have different points of view or different perceptions, and I could contribute something to the community that we fell in love with and want to make our home forever.
Okay, pass it to Shannon. We'll just go down.
Okay. So what really got me started with being involved with city council is when my road got done on 24th Street a couple of years ago. I was not very happy with the communication, how it was brought about, and the widening or not widening of our street. So I really started speaking up. I got a petition so we could get our part of our street widened. And I came to city council and I gave it a shot and our street got widened. So I felt really empowered at that. I'm also passionate about our town. I volunteer throughout the city, especially at the senior center. I help serve the Thanksgiving Day meals and I'll be here for Easter. I am passionate about our school systems, our town just as a whole. I think that with living here, growing up here, and also living in California, that I have a diverse background. I've traveled, I've seen a lot of things, and raising my kids here, it's just been great, and I want to make sure that the city stays great, so that's why I wanted to run.
Jeff? No, go ahead.
Okay, I'm running again because, first of all, I enjoyed my first term, and it was enjoyable. I talked to a lot of people. I am not afraid to answer anybody's questions, and no matter how big or how small a question may seem, I always bring it up to council. Because the whole thing is people have got this notion in their head that you're not heard. Well, I make sure that you are heard, because every time we have public comments, I always bring it up. It does not matter what the comment is, even if it's a far-fetched comment. And I've had some. But that's mainly the main reason I wanted to, and I love this city. I mean, when I was working construction, my friends were from here, so I spent a lot of time in town. We fished all the time. And I was at an event in town and with my wife, and she just loved it. She's from Boston. And I thought, when we moved here, I thought, I think I need to run for city council because it's time. I have the time. I can manage to, when I did work, I can manage my way around everything. So I really enjoyed it. And I will keep doing that, and I will keep answering questions, and I will keep making everybody be heard. I will not let any question go unnoticed. People deserve that. That's why you vote for us, is to bring up your concerns, and everybody's concerns are important. I don't mind when people come up to me and talk to me when I'm out and about. It just doesn't matter. I like that kind of communication with the city. And I feel I did a pretty good job of it, and I really want to continue doing that. So, that being said, I just hope I get reelected again, because I am your voice, and I always will be.
I decided to run for council for several reasons. I've been very involved in the community. I'm a member of the EAB, the Environmental Advisory Board. I'm a member of the Cool City Crime Prevention Committee, which maybe you've heard of. We do the National Night Out and the helicopter landing and things like that. I really feel that this is a great city, and I feel like I could be a positive leader for the city with a positive attitude and try to make, bring fresh ideas to the table and try to make things happen for future growth for the city. And that's all I got, I guess. Sorry.
I want to rerun because I believe that my experience and my background can help chart a destiny of success for the city. It's not an easy job, it's time consuming, I'll tell you, it's very frustrating too. But sometimes even current council, they don't completely understand the details. We have a lot of tools available to development, for instance, that aren't funded by the taxpayers. We have opportunities to secure loans, like Tuesday or last Monday night city council, that didn't come from taxpayers, they came from state. Available funding to help businesses overcome obstacles. And in the case of the community on West Twin River, both of those tools are utilized to help that project be developed. And that's gonna be both low income and market value, about 1/3 market value. And, you know, we have to take a look at, when I first started a job, and as all, I'm sure you can relate to it, we didn't have a lot of money, and houses are even now getting more expensive. Why not provide available housing, good quality, safe, managed by an organization that reviews who comes in, and let people have a chance to get started and build their businesses and grow in the community. So low income isn't necessarily bad, it's just a starting point for many people with families. So, and I have the time, I have the effort, and I have the experience. And I have a wife that tells me service above self, and my wife is so involved in so many activities, I feel guilty that I'm not more involved, so that's why I want to regain in my position as city council, so I can help give to the community and provide a path for success for this great community.
Next question.
Hey guys, how are you? Kurt Rogers here in Two Rivers. First of all, I want to say thank you to all 5 of you for running. Bending your shoes, know it's a lot of work, and know you're not going to please everybody all the time. So thank you in advance for doing that and taking the time to tell us a little bit about yourselves. My question is this. Close your eyes for a second, visualize, where do you see Two Rivers 10 years from now? Because council sets up a foundation that the next council will build on that, the next council will build on that, that you guys have a chance to take it to another level. But where do you see Two Rivers in 5 or 10 years from now, and your vision?
Okay, Mark, start.
I see Two Rivers, and Kurt, thank you for your commitment to the community, what you've done with your business. I see, one of the things I see is an addition to one of the standing committees that we have right now in City Council. I see a committee to be developed called a Footprint for Growth or something like that, where we will have council members participate on this committee, and the purpose of that committee is to look at 12, 15 objectives to grow this community. Because I'll tell you, being on city council, it gets busy at times for the general council at large to keep sight of objectives. And what I mean are things like East and West Twin development, maybe like the harbor, other plans, things that the citizens are talking about, ordinances for maybe Airbnbs, that type of, have a list of objectives, constantly changing, that will be subject to community interest, and have the city council, who members on that committee, review it, meet every meeting once, twice a month, and then report back to the general work session committee, the status update, because there may be obstacles that these objectives are running into, where people can be added to and help develop that progress, overcome those obstacles. There's lots of growth opportunities here, and one of the growth opportunities that is in front of us too, it's sad to see that vacant lot in front of City Hall. And there's so many things that we could do as a city, not own it, but we could manage the development properly of that city if we overcome the obstacles of taking it from Fisher Scientific. And we were closed before, and that would still be an opportunity that would be a huge footprint for housing development, light industry, more retail shops, and people who work from outside the community, they could have opportunities to live and work in Two Rivers. Thank you.
Okay, what I see for the future of Two Rivers 5, 10 years from now is a nice balanced growth between tourism and industry. I could see expanding the industrial park to accommodate new businesses. I could see possibly another subdivision that the city would develop to accommodate more housing, increase the tax base, reduce the utility costs. And I also see our schools getting better. Obviously, we're on an upward trend there. And So I guess I just see a nice balanced growth between all aspects of what makes Two Rivers great. Thanks.
For 10 years down the road, I would really like to see the entire river, all the seawalls repaired, and have businesses come up, have your pop-up shops, your restaurants, music venues, not just in certain areas, but the entire riverway. It would be very, very nice to see all that. Also, I would really like to see the industrial park expand, not only just expand, but be full. Try and figure out some way to bring something big here, something that's gonna use the necessary resources that we have to cheapen up our power bills and our electric and water bills. Just something to get more industry back into the city. So in 10 years, that would be, I know you said one, but I would like to see those two things happen, because I think both of them would really advance the city.
So my dream of Two Rivers in 10 years, or my vision, is to set it up for, while I'm in council, for sustainable, long-term growth that's also environmentally friendly, so that we're setting it up for our clean waterways and manageable storm water. We were just at the environmental board meeting, education series, excuse me, because I'm also a member of that. So that, and then also sustaining and keeping the businesses and industries that we do have, to make sure that they are established here and they continue to grow and stay in Two Rivers, instead of just focusing on only new growth, but to keep those that have been established here for a long time, make sure that they stay here in our community and don't leave us for Mexico or cheaper labor elsewhere.
Well, I'm gonna go with everybody else on this one. We have the most beautiful lakefront in Wisconsin. People come here. I prefer to visit our beach than going up to like Whitefish and Door County. And I think that we need to capitalize on our rivers. Like Jeff had said, I love what Sheboygan has done with theirs. They have boardwalks. We do the same thing in Copper Harbor along the lakeshore, where it's harder to traverse. They have put up a boardwalk along the edge of the water. They have shops. I would just like to kind of focus on that, our natural resource that we have, and just keep developing that to the best of our ability.
All right, pass it on to Doug, because he can read the next question will come from you. You start first.
Good evening, and thank you all for deciding to run for office. It's a thankless job. I've supported the candidates in the past. Full disclosure, Catherine Dahlke, I am Jeff's significant other. He can abstain from answering the question if he likes, just in fairness. But I would like to hear an answer, and it sort of builds on what Kurt had asked. Kurt asked them to look forward 20 years, but I was looking back and doing some research at the last two comprehensive plans going back into the 1980s. And since 1983, the comprehensive plans have stated that there has been a decline in economic strength and population since the early 80s. Here in Two Rivers, we've dropped from 13,000 plus residents to a little over 11,000. We talked about the housing, and it's a chicken egg. Build it and they will come. You build the housing, but where are people going to work? So I'd love to hear very specifically what your thoughts are about bringing sustainable jobs, industry jobs, whether they're manufacturing, etc., back to Two Rivers. You've all alluded to the industrial park, but what does that plan look like? I hear so much more about hotels and Airbnbs and housing, but you know what? They've got to have a place to work. I'll be biased on the recruiting function, but if you could answer that question, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, Jeff.
Okay. As far as what the city council can do to recruit business, they can definitely give all of their support to the city planner, the city manager. They can support TIFs to help the industries function and improve. I mean, we've seen Riverside expand via a TIF. So as far as recruiting and giving them a place to be, the city also has several incubators for small business. I don't think we're ever gonna see a large employer, like Hamilton, that was kind of a happy accident that happened out of somebody's back garage. But we do see a lot of small industrial type jobs in the area. And frankly, Manitowoc's within driving distance. I mean, I used to drive to Chicago an hour away. I used to drive to Sheboygan an hour away. I would include Manitowoc as part of our employment base also. And so if we can increase the industrial park and so forth and bring in a bunch of smaller employers, that all adds up to large employees. So that's as far as the council probably could support. Thanks.
I think to get some of the bigger industries back into town, I think we're gonna probably need to start looking at companies that are in the California area, in the areas out west that want to move because they're tired of the taxes there. We need to give the support to the economic development people, to be out and look for that, even if we have to find a new position for somebody that would be their sole job, is to, you know, look and see who wants to move, who's willing to come here. And like Mr. Brandt said, use the TIF funding. I'm okay with using TIF money for the city monies to bring jobs to the city. I think that would be about the only way to do it, because they're not really beating down the door. Part of the problem we have competing with Manitowoc is right off the interstate. Unfortunately, a lot of companies, they'll move 10 miles just to be close to the interstate. But our industrial park isn't that far away, so we would have to expand the industrial park and start recruiting companies to come here. I think that's the only way that we can do it.
The proximity to I-43 is a big problem for industries wanting to relocate to Two Rivers because it's additional shipping charges and navigating through small roadways and everything to get to and from I-43. I don't know if we will be able to recruit and sustain another large business. We're lucky to have such places as Eggers and EVM even. So what we can do to incorporate more businesses is use the TIF. I had to look it up. Mr. Bittner stumbled me on the question last year, so I researched what the TIF and TID districts are. So I am comfortable using that because we do need to bring something in to help Two Rivers thrive. We have a lot of small businesses, and there is a lot of talk in the greater world about these 15-minute cities where you can get your groceries, gas, I don't know, whatever, coffee. But the problem is with those 15-minute cities is that you can't always afford to live and work in that city, because if you're making minimum wage or even slightly more, the cost of housing is then the problem. So it's a balance between what can we bring in and what kind of housing do we have available? Is it affordable for what we have to offer with jobs? So those are things to definitely look at. TIF and TID districts are very helpful on an individual basis, and it would have to be looked at in each situation so that we know what is best for our city. I don't know everything on the city council yet, since I'm not a member, or I'm not voted on yet, but I do hope to learn a lot about what the city can do to encourage businesses to come our way.
So everybody had very good answers, and once again, I'm gonna sound like a parrot here, I apologize. The Economic Development Department would be the ones who mainly focus on trying to attract new business and giving them more resources, or letting them focus on trying to recruit. Mr. Dalkey did say trying to recruit from places that have high taxes and see if they would be interested in relocating. The TIF, this is one of those times that I really support the TIF. It would be, even though it would take some of the taxes and put it towards the program for 20 years, it would have compounding effect later on down the road, where that business would be providing jobs, would be providing people paying for the housing, people buying groceries in the local area. How we get it here, I don't have a real good answer for that myself, but I think that if we really try, I'm sure we can find somebody that wants to move, that wants to have if they come and they have a good base, and they have good benefits, and they have good wages, they will have we have a lot of, our medium age in Two Rivers is about 40 years old, 45 years old, and that makes up over 50% of our population. I'm sure that they would rather work at a job that pays them a very good wage than, you go to a lot of the factories, they're still $15 to $18 an hour. So we'd have to focus on somebody that would come in and could support that.
It's a great question, we ask every year. What can we do to help Two Rivers grow? And let me tell you, it is a jungle out there because we're a small community and we don't have the financial resources that other communities have to attract large businesses. It's very difficult to ever get probably a Hamilton or a Miro-sized business to come to this community. We don't have the cash resources to do it. So we gotta think differently, we gotta think smarter. And what we have to do is, what are our strengths? Our strengths are the heritage, the natural resources, the environmental assets of our location, and we have to use that. And then we have to shoot that information out to small, mid-sized businesses that are looking to relocate. And that could come through our economic development. It would come and become part of the regular meeting of the new growth committee I suggest, just like the utilities, the public safety committees, where existing city council are working once or twice a month, and they're looking at this list of objectives for growth, and they're evaluating it and reporting back to the work committee at the end of the month. Because we need resources to keep focused. I'm a businessman, and in business, you always had a written, structured, strategic plan you followed diligently. Modified when needed, but you followed the plan. And we need to follow a plan of growth regularly, consistently, and develop our assets that we have to attract businesses to come and new people to our community. And one of the resources is, again, that gaping lot in front of City Hall, across the river. Most communities, riverfront properties are very valuable and one of the first things to develop. And we've got an open 17 acres right there that's undeveloped. And smart thinking and logic applied to that development would increase our tax dollars and make this a better place to live. Reduce your water bills and utility bills.
That is that's
Is it, okay, that's done.
Okay, pass that on to Jeff. The next question.
Hi, once again, I'm Connie Hendricks. This isn't a question, it's just a request. Would one of you who is knowledgeable about TIF please explain it? I have a very rudimentary knowledge of TIF, but I think there are probably people in this audience who don't even have that. So if somebody, you have the mic, you want to explain TIF?
My understanding is also very rudimentary, but I could look it up.
Yeah, well, probably Mark can address this as well as me, so I'll say a little bit about it, and then Mark can finish it up, so in case we miss something. The TIF and TID, the TID is the district, the entire district that the money would be coming from. The TIF funding would be the money coming from within that district for a specific project. And that's basically the whole of it, and
No, what does TIF mean? What does it stand for?
Oh.
TIF.
tax incremental district and funding finance, yeah. Okay. I
But
thought
it's
you wanted to.
where the city taxes pay for the taxes that the new businesses are getting started, and they don't have to pay taxes for a certain number of years. Is that correct or not?
That's correct.
That's my understanding.
Right, right.
That's what people need to know.
Yes and no, I mean, it comes back to the city, but then it gets,
Eventually, yeah.
yes, eventually. Mark, you can finish this one up.
It is complex, but what it is a tool. We have a capability Because right now we've got less than 50% of our potential funding available for this type of development that we're using. There's a huge pocket of additional funding that we could use as a community to attract a business to come here and locate, to build here. And what that business, and other communities are doing that all over, and we need to be more aggressive and do that. But the important thing is, it doesn't cost the individual taxpayers anything, because it's using the property taxes to fund that loan that we're giving to that business to come here. What it does do, it gets that business, in the case of an apartment complex, it gets that apartment built, and the people who are living there immediately are buying groceries. They're going to grocery stores, they're going to taverns, they're going to restaurants, they're going to bars, they're filling at gas stations. It immediately brings money into the community infrastructure to benefit from that development. On the other hand, it also helps your individual tax bills on your water and your utilities, because they're using water, they're flushing their toilets, and that reduces costs for the total city of Two Rivers. The disadvantage is that statewide, once it comes back on the tax base, you can only get 50% as a taxable income. So in other words, if the property is worth 10 million, you can only collect taxes on the 5 million. But still, it's a worthwhile tool to use to help stimulate growth and business in our community. And we need to be more aggressive and use that tool. Because we shouldn't worry about in 20 years only collecting half. Well, right now, it's a vacant lot, we're not collecting anything. So it has a lot of immediate benefits and advantages to it. Did that help? Thank you.
I'll try to jump into the third leg of the stool for Jeff and Mark. Being on council for 4 years, TID and TIF, there's two ways of doing a TID if you're trying to do tax incremental development. One is pay as you go.
What is TID?
Tax incremental development. So what it is it's pay as you go or pay up front. Let's just say a company comes in, they say, I need $500,000 assistance to build something. That's what they're asking the city to support.
You don't have to tell me,
I got it. We might say, the council might say, okay, but we can't do that over 20 years. And 20 years is part of the bylaws, which you can pay it back. And you're paying it back based on the incremental taxes you're developing as your property you built, and we're taking that and you're paying us back every year for 20 years. There's paying up front, which means they may want $500,000, but they're willing to pay it within 5 years. So it's all negotiating with the council and the developer. And that might be a better way. We might see a risk there. We might shorten that risk by saying you're gonna pay it faster. It does, back to these guys' point, it does not come out of the taxpayers' money. It's incremental taxes they are paying as a result of what they've built. It wouldn't have any taxes had they not built it. So there is no tax base if they don't build it. So you have to entice them to come here and do that. And those are some of the levers we can pull. I don't know if I answered. Pay as you go and pay forward.
What happens if?
I'm not running for council. But
What happens if the business goes bankrupt? Then what, before the 20 years?
there's that risk you take. Actually, the property itself will have value, and it would still be, someone would be paying taxes on that value, but that's the risk the city has to take. They look at everything before they make any decision, including the RLF, which is a revolving loan fund, which is another lever they have to play with, which is they look at the financials, they look at whether or not they can afford to give it to them or not. And sometimes, unfortunately, there's bad loans and there's good loans. No different than a lot of us in this room. There's people who can afford a good car, people who can't afford a car at all. You gotta pay cash up front. So there is that risk, but the risk is evaluated by council. They look at everything.
And one of the things that we did do, I was chairman of the finance committee, is we look at the worthy investments and what they're projecting. And when we had risk or consideration of we thought it was risky, like in the case of apartment, we wanted them to build so much upfront before they get the first installment of their payment. So again, it's up to the council to be shrewd and negotiate how you give that money to that individual business to be developed. And the other loan, the city, the BICD funding is, again, not paid by this community, taxpayers, but it's another tool separate than TIF development that can be used to help stimulate business and growth in our community. All important ways to help our city grow.
Yeah. Next question. Yeah, give it to Shannon.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Dave Waggy. For those of you that don't know me, I've owned and operated Farm Right here in Two Rivers for the last 20 years. For those of you that don't know Farm Right, it was a $30 million fabricator, 200 employees, kind of a quiet business. I don't think a lot of people knew how big it was. But listening to you talk, it's obvious to me that you don't spend enough time talking to manufacturers. You want to grow manufacturing, but you're not going to grow manufacturing if you don't know what our needs are. Our problem in growing our business was not access to I-43, it was not taxes, it was employees. Over the last 15 years, we just couldn't find enough good employees. And although Farm Right grew fairly rapidly, it was a struggle the entire time. And over the last 5 years, we've been in a revolving door situation where employees are just moving from one employer to another for the next dollar per hour. And I guess my question would be, what do you think you can do to attract more young labor to the community, because that's our big problem?
Shannon?
I work in manufacturing. I work on the production floor. I work at Eggers. One of the big things that they're talking about is I-43 and the access to it, so that's why I brought that up. We need better wages. Wages will give you longevity of employees if you're paying a living wage. That's what it comes down to. People want to be able to afford a house. People want to be able to afford their groceries and a car, and maybe go on a vacation once in a while. So if we are paying livable wages, then our community can grow. Then you can have the longevity of your employees. Unions are a great thing for our community, for workers, for everyone. They provide the base wage and build everybody up so that they can have those livable wages. I think that's the most important thing. As far as knowing what to do, I'm not on city council yet, obviously. I would have to learn more about that aspect of what city council can do to help attract people, but I know parks, our waterways, our beach, and our school districts are all very, very great things that we have here in Two Rivers already. Our library, our green spaces, the way our community is growing. These are all things that are going to attract the next generation to want to stay here or even move here. Thank you.
Like I said in my introduction, I also work in manufacturing. I'm a production supervisor, and I've been in that role for almost 5 years now, and that has been a constant problem across the board. We have hired individuals. We've also raised our wages 3 times in the last, I think, 4 years. It's not an easy question. After COVID hit, nobody wanted to stay working. Every 10 people we hire, we get 1 person that sticks around for 6 months. I don't know, as city council decides making more housing available, what we could do, because it's locals as well. We get people from 50 years old to 18 years old. We could set up some sort of job fair with the youth, or something that'd be economic development, but maybe we could have a committee that helps compound kind of information and the needs of the local manufacturers and kind of disseminate that amongst the high schools, and maybe the library could utilize their space for some sort of job fair. I don't have a good answer for you, sir. Like I said, we're seeing it all over, and people are jumping. I know Scana Lewin, right after COVID hit, they had some obscene amount of sign-on bonus for the first 12 people. I think it was like $10,000. They had 6 people apply, 2 people stayed to collect it. So you could throw a bunch of money at them, and sometimes that's not enough either.
Labor is an important element for any business to have available good quality labor. But unfortunately, unfortunately, your hands are handcuffed as being a member of city council. You can't control wages. You can't control many things that independent businesses operate and do. And you don't want to cross that line. You want a business to run itself. You don't want city council to tell Dave, you gotta do this and pay this so much. You can't do that in a market system. But what you can do is you can take a step back and look at what are some of the needs of a workforce. Well, they need, as Shannon pointed out, quality of life is an important thing. Well, we got that covered pretty good. And we can improve upon that. They need a school system. Well, I think we need to work a little bit on some of the performance in school, but we got a good, safe, we got a great place to live. It's safe environment. We got all the infrastructure in place. If you have a fire, you have a heart attack, you have problems. We're a good place. But again, we started out this earlier, available housing. There's not a lot of places for those labor, new people to come and live in our community. And that's why we need to desperately work hard on developing these two projects, east and west development, look at other things, develop phase 3, and encourage more investors to put housing developments in our community. You can't demand that they do that, but we can do proactively research the market and solicit investment agencies to invest in our community and share with them all the assets. Sometimes I think we forget, as a community, how great a quality life we have here. And Explore Two Rivers started to do that. We promoted the beach, and we've seen a real upswing in beach. Well, I've had 3 homes in Manitowoc and raised my kids. My wife didn't even know at the time, during the course of our time in Manitowoc, there was a beach in Two Rivers. So we need to promote our assets that we have. I gotta stop talking.
Well, Mark stole most of my thoughts, and I agree with what he said wholeheartedly. Employees are a major issue. In our industry, we cannot find anybody to even recruit. Go to the colleges. We get a lot of interns, and they end up staying. But on our, I'm a designer, and on my level of employee, we have a very aged group going forward. We've all been in the business 30, 35 years. We're not seeing the young kids coming up. So I understand your problem, and I don't have a solution for that. As far as what council can control for Two Rivers, the quality of life is key. Make it a pleasant place to live here, make it a safe place. And, people feel safe in their homes and in their communities, and have great parks to take their kids. Chances are they may move here. So that's what I feel like would be in council's control.
Until we can figure out a way to get people to want to work again, I don't think that problem is gonna go away. It's not just here in this state, it's all over the country. Not only that, I've traveled all over the world for work. It is a global problem. Looking at the crowd here, people in here is all pretty much the same age. I'm sorry, but we created that problem with the children that we raised. They just don't really want to, they like to jump jobs, and that seems to be what the problem is now. Until I think we can figure out how to reinstate loyalty in people to a job or a company, boy, it's gonna be hard to get people to stay and get them to keep on working in one place. Nobody's afraid to jump job anymore. God, I remember when I first started working construction, people were surprised after I was there for 16 years and I left. It just doesn't happen anymore. I think when you get 4 years out of a person, you're probably doing pretty good. But I think the lack of loyalty is what had happened, and nobody's loyal to companies, their employers. Actually, they're not even loyal to themselves anymore. I don't think that just something has degraded in society somewhere, and I don't know how to get that back. If we can answer that problem, we'll probably get our job problems fixed up.
Give it to Andrew, because he's going to be next. Any more questions? All right, it is 8:15. Andrew, why don't you start with your 2-minute closing statement?
Well, I've learned a lot, and I appreciate everybody showing up and asking a lot of these tough questions. My goal, if I get elected to city council, to reiterate, is to listen to the people. I've heard a lot of varying viewpoints, knocking on doors, getting to know the community. Not everybody's gonna be pleased all the time, and I'm hoping that I can take what is given to me and disseminate that to the council members, and we can come together as a group and figure out what's best for the whole. Not everybody's gonna agree, not everybody's going to, like our decisions, but whoever you vote for, you're gonna have to trust that they're gonna make the right decisions for you. I'm hoping that possibly I can be one of those people, and I'm proud to be part of this community. Thank you very much.
I look forward to being elected into Two Rivers City Council because I believe that I am a good fit for that job and I have the experience and knowledge and education to back that statement up. I believe in this city, I believe in this community, I believe in the growth of this community and the sustainability of this community and the forward looking to the future. I just really think that with more green spaces, nice parks, we can do a lot with our beautiful area. We have a lot of natural resources to work with. Listening to the people of the community and what they want is always very important. Listening to both sides of the issue is also very important to make a knowledgeable and solid decision. So that's why I wanted to go up for city council, and I look forward to your vote on April 2nd.
If I'm reelected, I will keep being your voice. Anybody can come to me anytime. I get calls all times of the day. When I'm out, people come talk to me. I will continue to do that, and I promise you that. I will never stop doing that. I will be the checks and balances yet throughout with everything that's going on. I'm not afraid to ask the hard questions, and I'll never stop asking the hard questions, whether I know I'm gonna get backlash for it or not. That's just how I am. I enjoyed doing it for the last 3 years, and I'm not gonna change a thing. If you have any questions on how I do things, just look at some of the past council meetings. I will stand up for everybody as I always have, and like I said, I will be your voice. Never be afraid to come and talk to me. Send me an email, call me, it does not matter. But that's the main thing that I will do. Be your checks and balances, try and keep taxes low. I understand that there's certain things in the city that we need. We have to take care of the needs and limit the wants. I understand we have to have some of the wants, otherwise it's just gonna be no growth. But those are the things that I will continue to do. And I would appreciate your vote in April 2nd.
I believe the council should be a balanced representative body of the citizens of Two Rivers. I feel like I could be a positive leader in the council. I could bring fresh and innovative ideas. I have a good background in problem solving and budget management. I think that'll all apply to the needs of the council. And the bottom line is, we want to make Two Rivers a better place for our children and grandchildren, a place they want to stay, live, and work, not run off and leave the state or whatever. Make it a nice place to stay, and they can call it home as well. So that would be a good reason to vote for me on April 2nd. Thanks.
There's a lot of qualified people up here, so the community, we're lucky to have so many good choices. So I have a background in business and marketing, and I have a track record of strategic planning and goals that have made businesses successful. And during my tenure as previous city council, where I was there for 3 years, there are many positive things that I helped orchestrate and develop for this community. And we're seeing the benefits of it today. I've got a lot of ideas for the future. One of the things you'd see is the formation of that additional committee. Just like a public works, we'd meet and we'd have the priorities and objectives that you tell us are important, and we would focus on that meeting and deliver to the work session to make sure that that momentum keeps going. Because sometimes some of our objectives gets buried in all the challenges of city council, and there are a lot here. I'm never gonna always have the right opinion for everyone. However, that's great that we have a multitude of opinions out there, and I encourage that. When I was in city council, lots of people asked me questions too, but I gave them the respect. When they asked questions, I explained the situation many times, and I didn't necessarily always have to come to city council. I explained what the requirements were in the laws and regulations were, and it answered their question a little bit, because they didn't always understand it. It's a complex job. Some of the financing tools that are available to promote ourselves and develop more businesses are complex, and there's a lot of competition out there. So, my goal is to give my time, I have no ulterior motive for any higher offices or positions or anything else. I have experience and availability time, and I want to make a commitment to the place that Betty and I live in. It's a great community, and I want to help build it better for the future. Thank you for listening.
Just, if you can turn it off, that would be good. Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Now, if there are some questions that you have that have not been answered, they are going to they're going to be at another candidate forum next week, Tuesday, March 12th, here at the Behringer Room. And this is from the Two Rivers Business Association. What is the time, 7? 7 o'clock. So you'll have that, that's next Tuesday. So if there are any questions that were not answered and you need an answer, go to that and that'll happen. The next thing I want to tell you, registration, I believe in voting. That's what the league promotes. Registration deadline online or by mail is March 13th. If you miss that deadline, you can go to your city clerk's office through March 29th, or you can register that day on April 2nd. But to avoid all that, just register early. If you need any more information, there's also myvote.gov, that's in the back there, and also things that you need for voting. Those are my little promos. I want to thank all the candidates and you for coming out this evening, for Greg Buckley and Lisa coming out and having us on live stream. And I want to thank the Park and Recreation for the facilities and for coming up, and all of you for attending this evening. And this is the end of our forum, and thank you again.